Hey, welcome to Two Old Geeks Talking. I'm Rob,
I'm Trace.
and today we're joined by Tess. We're joined with Tess, and today's subject we are talking about anime and manga. And the reason we're kind of putting them together is because this is not our wheelhouse. It's not. It might be a kind of a blind spot for us. We know of it, and we want to pay respect to it.
Well, I mean, I've watched quite a few anime over the years, and you have too.
Right.
But when it comes to manga, Japanese comics, the only manga I'm familiar with is Lone Wolf and Cub, and we covered that very extensively in another video.
Right.
And but I mean, I love Lone Wolf and Cub, but most manga, I'm not a huge fan of. But
me personally, I have no experiences with manga whatsoever. And what I do know about anime goes back to about the 80s. I used to watch an anime called Vampire D. And then another one after that, I started watching called Crying Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't suggest that for any younger viewers because that has some nudity.
That's
in
why
it.
we have our expert of anime and manga
right.
here. But I mean, when it comes to anime, the first anime I really remember, of course, we watched Battle of the Planets. Mm-hmm. Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
And I was always thrown by the whole big eyes and the way they do it. I mean, like this is my version of anime.
No, Lord, he's got
What?
The art style has definitely changed over the years. Yeah.
So anyway, so really, remember old Jeff's video store?
Yeah.
And I rented a video one time called Akira.
Okay.
And that came out in 1988.
Yeah.
And that was my first taste of anime, and I love the anime, and it's considered a classic. And I love the animation. And up until that point, there really wasn't what I call adult cartoons,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it had violence in it and profanity and sex, so it really hit the American market at a time where Americans wasn't accustomed to that in their animated programs. But I mean, I really think the movie, which I recently went back and rewatched, I really think it's kind of overrated, which is not a popular opinion. But I mean, I like the animation, but the story was just meh. But I'll let you guys run with it.
So, and the reason I'm combining these together is because most people would do them separately, but since we're not that familiar with it, but we still want to respect it because it is such a huge presence. So, comic books here in the United States started in the 1930s, about 1932. And during World War II, our troops were taking comic books over to Japan. And when they saw them, they was like, "Oh, this is cute. We can do better." So they did. They made them more compact. They made them more in depth. They changed up the art style. They really created something that was their own and unique. And so the very first manga was released in the 50s, and it was Astro Boy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then shortly after that, they did the animation for it, which was the very first anime. So really, the first manga was followed up by the first anime. So they do kind of go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah, because a lot of anime is based after mangas that have already been released.
right.
Yeah.
I don't even think they called it Astro Boy. I think they called him Adam or something like that to begin with. But Astro Boy is what we've known him as now. Let's see. It is such a big presence over in Japan that they have cons. Like we have our Comic Cons.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, we're used to San Diego Comic Con. We've got that, 1,800 people a day or something like that. Well, they have a con over there, and it's called Comiket, which is comic.
Yeah, I go to that one.
Instead of comic convention, it's called a comic market. And they have over 500,000 people show up.
It's huge.
It is freaking huge. And what I don't understand, and maybe you can help me. In Japan, anime is considered kind of a taboo kind of thing for a lot of the adults
Yeah.
around there.
over the years, it has definitely changed more. But yeah, it used to be. If you liked anime, you were kind of looked almost as like how geeks were looked at in like the
Right.
70s and 60s, where it's like,
And they
that's
called
not.
you otakus?
Yeah, those otakus and weebs.
Okay.
Otakus are people who really like anime and they're like really into it.
All right.
But then weebs is like the like insult. Weebs is short for weeaboo, and that's what they would call someone. It's like you're too obsessed with it. It's your whole life, and you're basically a disgusting human.
So, by the way, if you want to look at some cool cosplay and makeup and stuff, she goes by Otaku Spice, right, on
Yeah,
Instagram.
Otaku
So
underscore spice.
Y'all can look her up as well. So that's what floors me is that it's kind of shunned upon, and there's actually, I guess you would call a syndrome or a condition, because the way we blame drugs and rock and roll on a lot of the bad things that our youth do, they blame anime on a lot of this stuff.
And it's funny because, I mean, as far as manga goes, I mean, manga outsells American comics in America. There's no comparison.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
I read like a statistics that they were like more paper is used in Japan to make manga than toilet paper.
But
Yeah.
they don't pay them for nothing either.
no, but I mean, and I think the reason manga is so popular in America is that they focus on a story.
Right.
They're trying to tell a good story, and their political views or their personal life or kind of gets put off to the side. They're just trying to tell a good story. Whereas America, we're so woke and we're trying to cater to this group and that group that the focus is taken off the story. That's why I like, first of all, like even with the manga I read with Lone Wolf and Cub, I mean, there's a Western type of storytelling and an Eastern type of storytelling.
Yeah.
And it's different, and it's kind of refreshing to have something different.
Right.
It's also refreshing to have something that just focuses on telling a good story, and that's it.
Right. Well, like everything has a negative side and a bad side, and I kind of was scraping at the bad stuff to begin with because it really is an awesome area for as far as pictorial storytelling.
Yeah.
And like that's what most geeks or comic geeks are into. I want to mention one other thing that it's called Haikyuu Omari. It's a condition where people don't want to leave their homes because they fall in love with the world of anime so much.
Yeah, that's also another thing where people, they call them also like, that's another thing of weebs where it's like you're discussing that's your whole life.
Right.
Because also a lot of people will get obsessed, and that's one of the stereotypes of weebs and people who get obsessed with anime. They're
Right.
like, you're too addicted to the fictional world, you need to get back out in the real world.
Yeah, you're not socially interacting with people. So tell us kind of, so I'm not familiar. There's several different versions or types of mangas.
Oh, like genres.
Yeah.
Yeah, because just like how we have horror and comedy and action and stuff, they have like shonen and shoujo and slice of life. And so shoujo is like your romance, and then shonen is like your action superheroes, and then slice of life is like everyday like high schoolers type things.
Okay.
You
so
know?
what would all the cooking mangas fall into? Because there's like a large amount of the mangas have to do with food.
I guess it would depend on the story itself, but a lot of the cooking mangas could be put under slice of life because they're just like an everyday life thing. They just enjoy cooking. But then you can take things like Food Wars that is a little out there and different than other things, and you can maybe consider it a shonen if you really wanted to.
Have you heard of the controversy of the illustrated cabbage in the anime?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so there was an anime and they didn't really animate the cabbage well enough, and the whole world came down on them. So there is a competition amongst artists to see if they can get cabbages in their animes and how well they can be drawn.
No,
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, you have to look it up. It's a whole thing that has to
Well,
do
I did read recently where they were taking there was a separate company that would translate the anime into English.
Okay.
And the Japanese wasn't satisfied with the way the Americans were translating a lot of them. So they've hired their own company to translate it from Japanese to English.
They felt like something was being lost.
Yeah, they feel like something was being lost in translation.
Because with a very popular series that's out right now called My Hero, when the first chapters in Japan are released, a lot of people will translate it, and then the official English translation will come out, like the people in Manga who translated it. But sometimes fans will get upset because they'll drive the translation a little bit, just like what you were talking about. So when other people translate it, it could mean this, but then someone else can translate it, and it has a totally different meaning.
That makes sense.
Well, like we said in past episode when we was doing the 80s cartoons, when we were taking animes, we were splicing them up from so many different animes, and then we were writing our own scripts. And I think that's almost become America's norm to kind of mess with something that they've already perfected, and we've gotten to the habit, and that's something we need to get out of the habit. Is tweaking it. We had a question. It was a good question from Carla. Hey, Carla, and she asked, "Did we consider mangas to be comics or graphic novels, or are they interchangeable?" So I answered the question in the comments. I want to see what your thoughts is. What do you think mangas are compared to comic books or graphic novels?
If you want to compare a manga to another form of physical media, I think the closest thing would say that it's a graphic novel, but a manga is really in its sense its own thing, which is why it's called something different. It's not called a graphic novel or comic, because graphic novels consist of multiple comics all shoved into one to prolong the story arc that you had, you know?
See, that's exactly what I
said. And then mangas, they have, because online authors will release chapters, and then the manga will condense all those chapters into like one volume, but you may have a story arc that stretches over like 3 or 4 mangas. And so, if you want to compare it to something American, I would say graphic novels, but in a sense, they're their own type of form of media.
So, for you all that don't know, Tess is my daughter, and I introduced her to anime
when I was like 13.
Yeah, when she was quite younger. So, I had just barely glazed it, and she delved on into it. And whenever we go to the con, some of the first people she wants to meet is some of the voice actors.
I love voice
actors. Now me, I'm a daddy. I'm like, oh God, I don't want to stand in line to listen to meet some guy that talks. But found out that in Japan, like their voice actors are like considered royalty over there. Oh yeah, and if they answer a question wrongly, they can get in trouble. And they're like looked upon as like superstars. So I'm sorry. Whenever Daddy was a butthole and was like, I don't want to stand in line.
So what are some of your favorite manga?
Manga-wise, I don't know. I really like Seraph of the End. I didn't bring it with me, but that was always one of my favorite mangas. But I never really thought of a favorite manga because all I read nowadays are manga, so I've got like a different one I'm reading every day. I feel bad because I'm reading mangas 10 times more than I read novels nowadays.
What about your favorite anime?
When I first started watching anime, it was Fairy Tail, and now it's a tie between Cells at Work or a new anime. Well, it's not new, but it's new to me. That I just got into called Haikyuu, but that's been around since like 2004.
As far as anime goes, like I told you, I wasn't a big fan of Akira, and but like in 1996, I went to a video store and there was a Ghost in the Shell.
Oh yeah.
And so I watched that and just really, really fell in love with it. It was based on a manga by Shiro Masamune, which was real kind of, I tried to read it and it was like convoluted and confusing. To me, it's like one of the few cases where the anime is better than the manga. And so it went on to make Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, which was a series I watched. And so I just really like the concept of that, mainly because it deals with cyberpunk,
Yeah.
that type of stuff, which I really, really like. And what's your thoughts on like live action adaptations of anime? For instance, like I actually see. First of all, Ghost in the Shell was inspired by Blade Runner,
Oh,
which
okay.
we're a fan of.
Oh yeah, you guys love Blade Runner.
And so and then Ghost in the Shell inspired the Matrix movies. So it's like there are three things that inspired each other, but yet they're separate entities of their own. So when they finally made a live action adaptation of Ghost in the Shell, I was super excited about it. And a lot of people give them flack because Scarlett Johansson was in it, and she wasn't Asian. Right. But in Japan, they love the fact that Scarlett Johansson was in it. And I mean, if you've got a 4K player or 4K television, I'd say John Wick 2 and Ghost in the Shell, the live action version, is one of the most beautiful things you can watch on it, and kind of show off to your friends your 4K player. Because really oh man, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So I mean, I really, really like that whole genre, you know, and I really like those movies. And but what's your thought on live adaptations of anime?
It's just known in the anime community that anytime an anime is announced for live action, everyone is just already cringing.
Oh, really?
Because sometimes you can have a good movie, but like 9 out of 10 times, live actions just do not hit.
Now when I mentioned Cry Freeman, they said it went over really well when they went live action with that.
What about Battle Angel Alita? Did you like that? Because I mean, it was almost. I mean, if you look at the old anime and you look at the live action, I mean, it's almost scene for scene identical. You know, did you like that or did you see that?
I have not seen that.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No.
Oh, you need to see that.
Because I know from everything I've heard, because they made a Death Note live action adaptation.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I could not even get through the first 10 minutes.
Really?
Everyone hates it.
What's the apple eating dude?
Oh, Ryuk.
I would have loved to seen him.
Oh, he does have great animations, but it's just... And then the Fullmetal Alchemist live action. That one.
They made a Fullmetal Alchemist.
Yeah.
That's cool. I've seen that.
Like the first half is really good, but then it was like they were combining the two series into one movie. But then by the end, it was like a completely different thing that made no sense. And then Attack on Titan, they took out like some of the main characters of the anime and to even have them in the movie. They were like, we don't need those.
Okay, well, let's throw a new controversy. A lot of people have been losing their shit because Disney has decided to make an animated Star Wars.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw a trailer for that.
Not an animated Star Wars. We've already got an animated Star Wars. We've got Clone Wars. But I'm talking about an anime style.
What's it called? It's called Star Wars Visions. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, it's them. To me, it's them trying to capitalize. You know, anime is real popular,
right,
with young people, and then which you would qualify as.
Yes.
And so I think it's them trying to you know, they've got kid shows and they've got shows for you and me, and I think like Mandalorian. And I think it's them trying to capitalize on the popularity of anime. But to me, you know, to me, anime is anime, and to me, Star Wars is Star Wars, and trying to combine them, not so much.
Well, they're making a Witcher anime too.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, it comes out this month.
Yeah.
So, are they going to be? Are they changing up the story, or are they just?
I don't know. I think because it's called Star Wars Visions, that they'll probably be changing it up a little bit because it's like an anime interpretation of the Star Wars story. You know, so I mean, don't know.
I don't think it'll be that bad. I think it'll be pretty good myself because, I mean, at first people wasn't too keen on Clone Wars, and now they've made so much of that just canon.
Yeah.
So I don't see how this would be any different. I don't think that it will. I honestly don't think it could subtract from the Star Wars.
Yeah.
It can only add.
Well, since you chose this as a topic this month,
right,
I've been watching Demon Slayer. What do you think about that? Have you watched any of those?
Oh, Demon Slayer, yes.
Yeah. Do you like that?
Yeah, I haven't finished it yet, but I
haven't
just
either.
started it,
Yeah, I
and
haven't.
I really like it because a lot of people are saying that like My Hero and Demon Slayer is like the new like Dragon Ball Naruto, like it's the new top animes of this generation.
Yeah, I mean, I like the story.
Yeah.
I like the story of it, and it's kind of got a supernatural take to it, where you've got where in Supernatural, the television show, you got two brothers fighting demons. Well, it's demon fighters in this one as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking it.
Okay, so you brought some stuff here. Is there anything you want to show off? I'm kind of interested in this character here. Who's that?
That is Kakashi Sensei from Naruto. I figured I could bring him just to show, you know, a classic anime that everyone knows. Everyone knows Naruto.
Okay.
But then also, just to show off anime merchandise. Because a lot of times, yeah, go ahead. A lot of times the figures will come with a lot of different pieces to them, a lot of movable joints, so that you can pose them however you want. And that's a real big thing with a lot of anime figures. You either have statues, these, or the little tiny chibi things. And chibi is when they're like really tiny and have round faces and tiny bodies.
Like, is chibi like Asian for cherub, kind of like? Oh, okay.
I just know the word and like what it represents. I can't tell you where
the
it
little
came
round
from.
face cartoon version of the cartoon.
Yeah.
They actually have like a chibi Usagi Yojimbo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Stan Sakai, he married a girl that does little chibi versions of everything. And so yeah, I know a little bit about that.
Good, 'cause they're little
what
people.
what mangas did you bring?
So I'm in the middle of moving, so I don't have access to everything I have. But I just brought the first volumes of just the first 3 series that I had in my box. So there's Attack on Titan, which is very popular now. It was very popular back then too, but you know, the new seasons, new manga updates. Do you want a summary of Attack on Titan? Or?
No.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, no. And then I just brought other things just to show different genres, because this is like an action shonen type. And then this one is kind of like a slice of life, because it's just an old man and his cat. And then this one is like a shoujo. It's romance. It's an office worker romance.
Old men don't have cats.
Yeah.
They can't keep dogs.
This old man has a cat.
Oh, well.
So what do you think about like American anime? And what I would call American anime would be like
Netflix originals.
Right.
yeah, well, I mean like say for instance Castlevania.
Okay.
I just got through finished Castlevania.
Yeah.
Now, Castlevania was written by Warren Ellis, American, but it was actually produced in a Korean studio.
Yeah.
And but it was definitely done in an anime style, and the season just recently, the whole series recently wrapped up. I was very satisfied with the ending, which anymore it seems like nobody can write a good ending.
Yeah, endings are always lackluster.
Yeah, but they really wrapped it up, and I guess in a way, like maybe Avatar: The Last Airbender was kind of like an anime style, but it's not really anime. It's American, what I would consider American anime. So what do you think about those? Is it the same, or is it just like, man, it doesn't compare, or
Right. Is it a flattery or is it a mockery?
right?
I think if you want to use flattery or mockery, it could be more flattery-wise, because anime is more of an art style. So, you know, you can look at like Castlevania or like Pokemon or something and be like, that is the anime art style. And of course, traditionally, anime would come from Japan, stuff like that. But even though Netflix is making Netflix originals and stuff, a lot of these animes that Netflix are making is still based after mangas. So it still has the Japan stereotype, you know?
All right. Cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of anime on Netflix right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, a ton of it.
Netflix
it's
knew
what's
it was
in.
popular, yeah. They mined into that gold mine.
Anything else?
No. What you got there?
Oh, let's see. Well, first of all, anybody who's ever on our channel, we always give them a T-shirt.
Right.
These are very, very rare because there's only been like just a few people that's been on there. So we wanted you to have this.
I am
So-
never going to lose it. I'm going to hold on to it.
And we had a giveaway. Our last video was on just comic collecting, and so we had some comics that I gathered together, and had a drawing for that. So Switch Comics is the one who won that. Switch Comics has their own YouTube channel, and really we're called Two Old Geeks Talking. They're really like two young geeks talking.
Okay, cool.
And so they're kind of like the Cheech and Chong of the comic book world.
Alrighty.
Yeah, right. And but I met him at and you met him too at Frankfurt
yeah.
Comic Con.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
They're
about now.
nice.
Yeah, right.
And so I've watched a lot of their stuff, and they're a nice couple of young guys. Yeah. So maybe we'll do a crossover in the future and have like two old geeks talk to two young geeks.
That would be awesome.
Oh,
maybe
that
we'll
would
do
be really cool.
So, but anyway, contact us and we'll get those comics to you. So,
And we're also doing a giveaway for this episode, which we are giving away. What's his name again?
Izuku Midoriya.
God bless her. She went and helped me find this stuff. So this just came out at the beginning of this month. So we'll be giving away this figure. And since we want you all to start or add to your manga collection, we're going to be giving away this manga, which is One Piece, which has the first 3 volumes of One Piece in that. So subscribe, like, comment.
yes. Please subscribe. Please hit that like button because that feeds the YouTube algorithm, and we're trying to grow. And we appreciate your subscription and your support. And are you done?
I mean, I'm good if you're good.
Are you done?
I'm done.
All right. Okay. I think we're done.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See ya.